Hey everybody, well, I'm back from vacation, so thought I'd sit down and figure out what kind of video I want to make, and then it kind of fell into my lap. Um, if you're a member at the TCA, you had a notification about doing an online poll about should the TCA consider selling the property and its museum. And I don't know, depending where you look and how much research you dig into it, some sites are saying that poll went out in accident. But no matter how it goes or how it came about, me as a TCA member, I'm not happy with the whole way this is being handled. I've known a lot of the little details for probably about 3-4 months, but nothing has ever been officially released for the general members to even consider. So my understanding is the TCA was approached by a person that was willing to purchase the property and the museum for a significant amount of money. If I recall, I believe it was a $10 million purchase. And the TCA would get to keep the property and run it fee-free, no maintenance costs, no nothing for 10 years. But at the end of that time, it would revert to the purchaser, and TCA would no longer have a home, and the future of the museum itself would be in jeopardy. And there's certainly no guarantees about what would happen to the museum. The TCA as a whole right now is financially stable. A lot of people have in the past, former members or people that are no longer with us, and that building was created as an endowment, and people donated to that to keep it alive and for it to be there based on their wishes. I don't know how you betray that trust and now sell the property under any conditions. But how do you consider accepting a large sum of money knowing that the TCA will no longer have a home and the museum being gone? What's the purchase price going to be used for if we just basically sell out and have a large amount of money? Where's that money going to go? Who controls it? Those are all details that need to be explained in depth before you go and ask a question about, hey, do we do this deal or do it not? I mean, it's obvious, if you look at the TCA, I'm probably considered a kid. I mean, I'm going to be pushing 62 years old, but most of the people that are in the TCA are in their 70s and older, and that group is shrinking. And I think we need to start a mentorship and really apply ourselves into bringing the hobby back to kids and teaching them the value of wiring and layout planning and simple construction techniques. I mean, I think that's where the focus goes if we want to try to revitalize our hobby. I haven't heard any discussions from any division about what is taking place to grow the hobby and bring it back to the kids. And it's kind of been the opposite. Is the TCA has been stale, in my opinion. It's been the same guys that have been doing the same things for in excess of 25 years, and nobody wants to admit the end is coming, but they're not doing anything to revitalize it and working with anybody about trying to bring the hobby back out or how to expand it. So it's more or less, let's cash in now and we won't worry about the future. I'm just not in favor of that. It's not that I don't want to seem like I don't trust the leadership, but the leadership needs to not be so short-sighted. And before we have to worry about what happens in 10 years, why don't we take 5 years to come up with a plan and solicit help from across the country about how do we revitalize the hobby and put money into that. What's the other side of the coin? 10 years, we have X amount of money. Are we going to go try to find another home in a different location? I don't understand what this urgency is, and I don't like that a small group of people is looking at a large sum of money without explaining the details of how that money is going to get used, what happens to it, and really what's going on. The only bright side of that, and if you guys, you can go online to the TCA page. It's in the December newsletter. I mean, the purchaser appears to be the Choo Choo Barn organization, and I don't have anything against them. In fact, at the York shows, you know, they've had booths there where they are actually, they do seem to have a plan to revitalize the hobby by taking the basics of the hobby to schools, and they're putting on like little universities for kids to build modular layouts. I was very interested in that. In fact, if you go back to some of my York videos, the very first time they were there, I actually covered that. So it appears that the buyer of that, the potential buyer, is the Choo Choo Barn organization. But recapping, you can actually see a letter from the person from the Choo Choo Barn in the December 25th newsletter outlining what he would like to do. And I mean, that premise was nice, but nobody knows if that's really what will happen or how that's happening, or you know, is there a commitment to keep the museum operating? Those details are more important to me to know before I would say, okay, hey, let's sell the property. It's about what happens to prior people's money that went toward the museum, and you know, make sure that those wishes are still honored. That's my take on it. I mean, I voted no. I think everybody should vote no because they need to be a little more forthcoming with what's going on. I mean, one of the things that just really bothers me is evidently there was a discussion forum online, and during the discussions that I was following, and it gave a link to that so you could see all the discussion about all the details, and all of a sudden, a day after that link was posted, all that information's been removed from the web page. That makes no sense. Somebody is trying to hide something. It just is not. It's just not a way you conduct business. This should be something out in the open, with everybody having all the information. And I would hazard a guess the majority of us had no idea that this was even under consideration. And I think that's where it stops, until they can be forthcoming with what they're trying to do and why they need to do it. And you know, are they just saying, oh, okay, there is no future of the hobby, so we're going to cash in and get the money now, and you know, 10 years from now, who cares? I don't think that's a plan. You know, the other thing is, you sell the building and you do that, I think that kills everything financially too, because who's going to want to contribute to an organization that you know is going to die? So I think that basically is the nail in the coffin for the TCA if you go this direction. And I, for one, don't see the value. And I think you kill everything along with the hobby. You know, York will always be York, but without the TCA and communication-wise, are you going to go? I don't think York can sustain itself without the TCA. Right? Are they going to do these mailings and all the stuff to advertise their show, or is it just become another big regional show? I don't know. I think the strength in the TCA moving forward is the empowerment of the local divisions, and let them have more of the pie of the TCA funding so that we can do bigger shows in better venues rather than always trying to handle it at a local level. I think we bring the hobby back to the localities and always have the TCA as its central location and keep that museum as a destination point. And with the York Show being the York Show, that will always be an excuse for people to go to that area, and that museum's not that far away from York. But for me, the future is the local divisions and us all working together for the hobby rather than a small group trying to take away the TCA as a whole in 10 years. My thoughts, just mine. Have a great day.